So, look, here's what they say they want to build. From the pictures, it looks like some sort of townhouse-style development. Real polished. And check this out. See that gate? Yeah, a gate. If there's a gate at the front, that means you can't just walk in there. Whatever stuff they plan on putting inside, regular people who don't live there won't even get to see it, let alone use it. Am I losing my mind? That is a gate, right? So what are we doing here? Is this a gated community? Even if they put a dry cleaner in there, what? We can't use it unless we live in the complex? That's all I'm saying. And listen, I'm not even saying it's wrong, but let's just be real about it. Don't try to market it like it's for the whole community, when it's clearly only for a specific community, the one you're building behind those gates. Yo, it's your boy from Celeb News. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share the video. Get in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Is this a good idea? Are they tricking us? Or is it really a treat? And also, can we talk about how Tiffany must be feeling right now? Because people from outside the community are coming in, trying to develop Dalton. And Tiffany, let's be real, you could have been part of this. But you were too busy being a twerp. You messed up your bag early. You could have been right here, cashing in. There's money rolling in, new people coming in, more investors. But you fumbled, played yourself. We had a public meeting. The agenda changed a bit, so they could make room for a special guest presentation. A new business came in with ideas they've been presenting to trustees. Now they're ready to present those ideas to the community and the board, specifically regarding zoning at 14700 Harvard. So the speaker, Evan, and his team come up to present. And we're all part of the community together, shaking hands, smiling for the room. And first thing, he gives a big thank you to the mayor and trustees. He says, since 2022, we haven't been able to move forward with this business. No developments, no capital investments, no nothing until you cleaned house. So thank you and good job. All right, calm down. Don't kiss up too much. I hate that. These folks will say whatever they need to say to get what they want, and then vanish when it's time to give back. Be careful with all that flattery. This guy and his investors bought a 13-acre property back in 2022. Originally, they planned to use it for truck parking because it's near a bunch of intermodals. But now, based on feedback, and probably thanks to the Pope bringing attention to Dalton, they're switching gears. Instead of truck parking, they're talking about mixed-income housing redevelopment and daily needs retail. But what exactly is mixed-income housing? They're saying it means a mix of housing for different income levels, not just luxury, not just low income, something in between. They want to make this place more attractive and more useful for the community. Or so they say. They're talking about adding things like asterisk a dry cleaner, asterisk childcare and daycare services, asterisk a small retail space, for daily needs, asterisk rental units, and for sale housing, asterisk a pool, asterisk a kids playground, asterisk mixed use apartments. More on that in a second. Like, stop making up buzzwords. Tell us clearly what you're talking about. Usually, mixed use means retail on the ground floor and housing above it. So maybe a coffee shop or daycare on the first level and apartments on top. That's the idea. But let's be real. Even if you've got a daycare or dry cleaner or a cute playground, those would be for the people who live in the development, not the public, not the rest of us. You know what's going to happen. You show up thinking you can use the dry cleaner, and here comes Kara with her HOA clipboard telling you to leave. Because unless you live there, you don't belong. So again, don't call this a community project. You're building a new community within Dalton, and you're building it for people who will live in it. And that's fine, but say it plainly. Stop acting like this is for everyone. They're saying this will be the first major new project in over 20 years in this area. They're throwing around the words millions of dollars in investment. That sounds good, but who's really going to benefit? It might be a nice looking development, sure, but will people from the current Dalton community actually get to live there? Or is this a clean it up and sell it off kind of thing? Gentrification in disguise? Is this a development with the community? Or a development on top of the community? This guy says they want to turn an eyesore into something beautiful. And on paper, that sounds great. But if the only people who get to enjoy that beauty are the new residents, people who come from outside, then what's really changed? We've heard this song before. Asterisk, it's for everybody. Asterisk, we're revitalizing the neighborhood. Asterisk, we're bringing opportunity. But often what it really means is we're building something new and expensive, and you can look at it from outside the gate. So let's not fall for sweet talk. If it's private housing with private amenities, call it that. If you want zoning changes to build it, say that too, but don't pretend it's a gift to the whole town. The board still has to vote. They'll be deciding whether this development can move forward under new zoning. The developers want the green light so they can start construction on what's being pitched as a blend of apartments, townhomes, and retail. And look, maybe this ends up being something positive. Maybe it really does bring jobs or stability. Maybe it inspires more responsible growth in Dalton. But let's keep our eyes open, because once those gates go up, and they will, it won't be your dry cleaner. It won't be your daycare. It'll be theirs. And that's okay. Just be honest about it. Now drop a comment. Asterisk, is this a good plan? Asterisk, is Dalton getting tricked? Asterisk, or is this the kind of change that the town really needs? Let me know what you think. And Tiffany, if you're watching, this could have been you. Another bag fumbled. Another scheme you missed out on. Keep playing the long game better next time. Until then, stay sharp. Dalton, all right. So let's get into this. There's this proposed development in Dalton, and people are talking big, like they're about to do something major for the community. They're saying all the right words: revitalization, housing, jobs, retail, veterans, families, all the sweet-sounding buzzwords. But let's actually break down what's being said and what it really means, because there's a lot going on beneath the surface here, and some of it just isn't adding up. Here's a simple thought. Instead of building brand new shiny things from scratch, why not fix up the stuff that's already there? There are empty lots, abandoned buildings, rundown homes. Take those and turn them into something usable, something beautiful. But that hasn't happened. And people have been asking for that kind of development. People want to see something that helps rebuild what's already part of the community, not something that walls them out of it. At the meeting, one of the presenters made a big show of talking about veterans. He asked, "Do we have any military in the room?" and then thanked them for their service. Sounded heartfelt, right? But here's the thing. I don't think that man was being entirely honest. Let me tell you why. The talk about making part of the new development accessible to veterans sounds nice. But DI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, is essentially gone at the federal level. That includes a lot of protections and programs aimed specifically at veterans. You used to be able to say, we're creating housing for veterans and get some funding or policy exceptions. That's gone. If the reason you're placing someone is because they're a veteran, that's no longer enough to legally justify the placement in most cases. That part of DI policy has been rolled back. So when this man says, we're doing this for veterans, he knows full well that he doesn't actually have to follow through. There's no enforcement, no requirement, no funding mandate. It's just words. He can say it until he turns blue in the face. But the moment it becomes inconvenient, he doesn't have to do anything. Nothing is holding him to that promise anymore. And sure, a thank you for your service is nice, but it's not a job. It's not a home. And the way the system is working now, that's all they're likely to get. So what are they actually planning to build? From the renderings, it looks like some kind of townhouse-style, upscale-looking development. And the gate? You can't miss that. That's not a little welcome arch. That's a barrier. You're either in or you're out. And if you're out, guess what? You're out. Whatever they put in there, dry cleaner, daycare, shops, it's not for the general public. It's for residents only. You won't be able to walk in off the street and access those amenities. You can't even go in and look at them unless you live there. Again, if that's what this is, that's fine. But be honest about it. Don't stand up here and pitch it like it's for everyone in the community. Don't pretend like the current residents of Dalton are going to be able to just walk up and use these services. That's not true. Then they talk about how self-storage in the area is 99% full, like that's a market signal or something. But let's pause. Why do you think that is? Because people are being displaced. People have lost their homes, or they're living with relatives, or they've had to downsize. That's why they're putting their stuff in storage. Not because they suddenly need more closets. It's because they don't have anywhere to put their things. So now, we're building more storage units, not to solve the housing crisis, but to accommodate the consequences of it. That's not a solution. That's a Band-Aid. Currently, this property is zoned for industrial use, M1. That's why it was originally considered for truck parking. Now, the developers are asking for a full zoning change to allow housing, retail, condos, apartments, and more. They're also asking for all kinds of changes to the building code. Asterisk want to build taller buildings, up to 4 to 5 stories. Asterisk reducing the parking ratio. from 1 space per unit to 5 units for space. Asterisk switching from concrete to cheap materials like masonry to reduce costs. Listen, some of those requests might be fair given construction costs, but others are red flags. You want to pack in more units with less parking in a suburb where people need cars to live. That's not planning, that's cramming. And all these code changes, it opens a door. Once this is approved, other developers will come in with more projects. The dominoes fall, and just like that, Dalton starts to change fast. Look, this proposal is full of lofty promises. New homes, new retail, new jobs, a tax base, a clean, modern development the community can enjoy. But let's be real, who is this really for? It's not for folks who've been in Dalton for 10, 20, 30 years. It's for the newcomers. It's for people they hope will move in once this shiny new development is up. They're not making this for the current Dalton community. They're making it for the next one. They throw out terms like mixed-use apartments and mixed-income housing. That sounds inclusive, right? But again, what does it actually mean? Because the last time we heard mixed income, it meant a handful of affordable units buried in a mostly luxury complex with a separate entrance. And mixed use usually means a coffee shop or office space at street level, with expensive apartments stacked on top. So yeah, technically mixed, but not accessible, not shared, not community-oriented. Let's talk materials. They want to ditch concrete, too expensive, and go with cheaper options. Now look, everyone's trying to save money these days. But when you start cutting corners on the actual structure of a building, that's when it gets real shady. We're not saying they're literally using papier-mâché, but that's how it feels. If you're paying $300K for a townhouse and the walls are paper thin and the foundation cracks in 3 years, what are we really building here? And don't even get me started on the HOA fees. You already know they'll be sky high. And here's the big picture. This one project, this one development, it's the signal. Once this gets approved, the floodgates open. Other developers come sniffing around. And before you know it, Dalton is full of shiny developments. And the folks who lived here before, locked out, priced out, walled out. This isn't conspiracy. It's what's happened in city after city. The new buildings go up. The old community gets pushed out. Redlining never really stopped. It just changed its clothes. They're pitching this like it's something for everyone, but they're building something that's clearly for someone else. And those of us who are already here, we don't get access. We don't get to use the dry cleaner, or the daycare, or the pool. We get a thank you for your service. We get a gate. This is the part where presenters says things like, this is a clean, first-class, safe space for the Dalton residents. But sir, who are you calling out? These residents? The ones living in homes from the 1970s that you're shading? These are the same people you need approval from. These are the people whose town you're trying to change. Respect them, because if your project doesn't actually include the people who live here now, then it's not a community project. It's a business deal, and you should say that plainly. If you're from Dalton, you need to be watching this closely. Ask questions. Don't get distracted by pretty renderings and sweet promises. Demand real answers. Ask. Asterisk who will really live here? Asterisk who can afford it? Asterisk will current residents have access? Asterisk how are you protecting us from being priced out? Because once you let the first one in, it gets harder to say no to. So let's get back into it. Now they're up here talking about how old everybody's houses are in Dalton. Like, oh, your homes are so ancient, built back in the Stone Ages. Okay, sir, we get it. These homes might be old, but they're lived in. They have history, they have people in them. They're not just numbers or blight on a map. But now here you come, talking about asterisk. We're bringing something new, very, very new. Asterisk, and guess what? You won't even be able to afford to live in it, because it's going to be new and gated. That means unless you live inside, you're not getting in. You're not going to the daycare, not going to dry cleaner, not walking your dog in the park they build. You're out. And the wildest part? They're trying to make it look like it's for the community. Nah, this is a city inside the city, and you're not invited. Here's what should be happening. If I were sitting in that seat, if I was Super Mayor Mama, which I can't be because I'd be in there cussing everybody out, but if I was, I'd say, okay, want to build this? Fine. Build your fancy townhouses. Go for it. But your businesses? No, not inside your private little compound. You want a grocery store, dry cleaner, daycare? Cool. Put them outside that gate. You say this is for the community? Prove it. Let the community access those businesses. Because right now, what they're trying to do is siphon off resources from the surrounding area, tuck them into their cute little bubble, and pretend they're helping. That's not help. That's theft dressed up in renderings and buzzwords. If you're really about helping Dalton, don't build a little walled-off Disney village for your investors. Build with the community, not on top of it. Let's talk geography. The land in question, 14700 Harvard Street. It's right by the CVS on the way to Riverdale, close to the train station. There's a park nearby. Right now, it's basically a giant tumbleweed garden. Not pretty. But here's the thing. Go look it up on Google Maps. Pull out the scale and compare it to houses around it. The way they showed that design, it does not fit. Not even close. From what we're seeing, it's only about the size of 10 houses across. Maybe. So this idea they're selling, those long lines of townhomes, all that open space, it's a dream. It's not real. It's not going to look like that. That means whatever they actually build isn't going to look anything like what they showed you in those shiny slides. So just know you're being sold a fantasy. And when it's built, it'll be a cramped, half-size version of what they promised. If that, let's get into this mixed income stuff. Because it sounds nice when they say it. They go, oh, it'll be accessible to different kind of people, teachers, firefighters, and then they immediately follow it with asterisk. It's not necessarily a voucher program. Asterisk translation, absolutely not Section 8. Let's be real. Do you really think they're about to build these brand new apartments with high-end finishes and controlled access, and then just be like, come on in for $75/month? Absolutely not. They're not doing that. They're not going to open these brand new spaces to people who are used to paying 10% of market rent. They won't. You can barely get landlords to do that in old buildings, let alone brand new developments. So don't let them fool you with that vague, accessible talk. And affordable? That word means nothing without numbers. Saying something is affordable is like saying something is tasty. Affordable to who? $2. 500 a month is affordable to somebody. Maybe to a person from New York who's used to renting a shoebox for $3,000, but not to a school bus driver in Dalton trying to make it work with kids and groceries. So don't let them get away with throwing around mixed income like it's gospel. If they're not giving you actual price points, then they're hiding something. At one point, a woman says, so are you saying this is like a community within a community? And the man jumps on that like a dog with a bone. He's like, oh, I love that. I might borrow that. Community within a community. Sir, asterisk, you just stole that line in real time. But yes, that's exactly what it is. A community within a community. A little fortress built inside the bigger city. But let's be honest, that's not always a good thing. Because what they're really doing is separating themselves from the community. Creating a gated bubble where all the good stuff, nice homes, safe streets, decent shops, is locked away behind a gate. And everyone else? They just get to drive by and look at it. They're also asking for changes to the zoning code. Why? Because this land is currently zoned for industrial use. That's why they initially considered using it for truck parking. Now, they want to rezone it to allow housing, businesses, and more. Fine. But they're also asking to asterisk build taller buildings, up to 4 or 5 stories, asterisk shrink the parking ratio, from 1 to 1 to 5 units per space, asterisk use cheaper materials like masonry instead of concrete because concrete is too expensive. Okay, now you're talking about building high density, low parking, low quality construction in a residential neighborhood and pretending it's luxury? It's giving papier-mâché. You're going to move into one of these townhouses and to look cute on the outside, but it's made with off-brand drywall and particle board. And if your neighbor sneezes, your lights flicker. Then the HOA fees are going to be astronomical, and no one will be able to afford to keep the place up. We've seen it before. They build fast and cheap, then walk away while residents are left holding the bag. This developer's out here saying, asterisk, we're working with the administration. We've been trying since 2022. We want to help. Asterisk, okay. But where's the follow-through? Where's the asterisk transparency? Asterisk guarantees for local hiring? Asterisk partnerships with local schools or programs? Asterisk real commitment to affordable rates for existing residents? There's none of that. Just talk. Just pitch. Just vibes. Here's the part where Guy says, this isn't a luxury-only project. Okay, but it also isn't affordable for the people who already live here. He's saying all the right things on the surface, but he won't give you numbers, won't commit to specifics, and definitely won't tell you what the lowest rent or purchase price will be. He's trying to sound inclusive while building something exclusive, and that's the scam. This isn't about progress or revitalization. It's about profit. And once you understand that, you stop being impressed by the shiny renderings and start asking the real questions. Asterisk, who is this really for? Asterisk, who can actually afford to live here? Asterisk, why are the businesses behind the gate? Asterisk, why can't we use them too? Asterisk, what's stopping this from turning into another gentrification story? Because that's what this is at the end of the day, a gentrification starter kit. So if you're in Dalton, don't just listen. Don't just nod along. Don't just clap for the slideshow. Ask questions. Speak up. Demand more. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get development that actually serves the people who are already here, not just the ones they're trying to attract. Let me break this down real quick, because the way these folks are sliding this in under the radar is slick. Like slick. Like, we've been doing this for decades and you just walked into the room slick. So what they're trying to do is take this little piece of land, currently zoned M1, which means it's meant for industrial use like factories and truck parking, and change the zoning so they can put residential stuff on it, but not just any residential. Oh no, they want what they're calling a community within a community. Sounds cute, right? But let me translate. They want a gated community, a little slice of Niceville hidden inside Dalton, walled off and separated from the people who already live there. The rest of us, we get a look at it through the bars and maybe wave hello to the folks coming out of their Whole Foods Light store that you can't shop at unless you live there. Here's what's happening in plain language. They're asking the board to rezone the land. Right now, technically, they're only asking to change what the land could be used for, not approving an actual development yet. But the second that zoning change is granted, it opens the floodgates. Why? Because once it's rezoned, they can go to the federal government and say, hey, look at this property that's now approved for housing. See? The town is behind it. Now, give us some of that federal money. And what's the federal government looking for? Letters of support, local approval, projects with a green light from the community. Not maybe, not sort of, full on, yes, we support this letters that can be attached to grant applications. So that's what this meeting was really about. Not about getting public feedback, not about a vote on a full plan. It was about securing a key piece of the puzzle so they can go chase down federal dollars. I'm not saying it's illegal. It's not illegal. That's the kicker. This whole thing, this land use change, this rezoning, this pre-approval talk is totally legal. But it's also, let's be honest, shady as hell. It's shady because the people in that room, the residents, don't know the game. They're sitting there trying to understand what M1 even means while the developers are already 5 chess moves ahead, working their angle, ready to get that funding. It's like watching someone run a game of Monopoly on people who just learned what the pieces do. Someone asked a developer straight up, asterisk, so are you gonna get HUD funding? Asterisk, and you could tell that caught him off guard. His answer? Basically, we're going to ask for funding from a variety of sources. The environment is changing rapidly. Translation? Absolutely not. They're not touching HUD. Not during this administration. Not with the way things are going. They're not using urban anything. That word is off the table. No Section 8. No affordable housing programs. No voucher acceptance. None of that. They'll say mixed income. Sure, but again, without numbers, mixed income just means asterisk whatever they say it means. Asterisk could be $1, 900 for a 1-bedroom. And they'll call affordable because it's not $3,000. Then this man, Minister Tommy Davis, gets up and says, my group helped build UIC, Wind Creek Casino, the Obama Library. My mother used to have a business here in Dalton. I've got friends with deep pockets. We're here to support. Oh, you got friends with deep pockets? Not you, your friends. Okay, now how you gonna advertise your friend's wallet like it's yours? He said it with his whole chest. 2, didn't even blink. I got some friends with deep pockets. And I'm just sitting there like, asterisk, sir, how are your pockets doing? You ever think to ask yourself that? Asterisk, you're out here saying, I'd like to offer support. But what you mean is, I'd like to offer my friends money with my name on it and your land. That's wild behavior. And you just know that after the meeting, someone said, hey, come see me after this. And he went, because he doesn't actually build things. He just connects people and collects checks. This whole thing is like a masterclass in how to use legal loopholes and technical knowledge to extract federal money from unsuspecting towns. They're not even sure yet what federal sources they'll tap into. The developer admitted it. They just want the zoning change first so they can figure out later. That way, they've got something to shop around to HUD alternatives, infrastructure grants, whatever's out there, as long as it gets them paid. And of course, it's not about putting all your eggs in one basket, as they said. No, this is about throwing as many hooks into the water as possible to see what bites. Because in the end, as the man said himself, it's still a business enterprise. It has to make financial sense. Don't forget that. No matter how many pretty renderings, no matter how much talk about teachers and firefighters, this is about money. Now, someone had a good question. Are we pushing get the zoning board up and running so the community actually understand what's going on? The answer? Asterisk yes. Asterisk kinda. There's a zoning and planning committee being established, but the developer doesn't want to wait on that because that process takes asterisk months. Asterisk, he wants approval now. A fast-track resolution, a letter of support, some kind of pre-approval, so he can go get money. And again, he says that the feds are more likely to fund something that already has the community's blessing. So they're pushing this hard, before the zoning board is even fully formed, before the community has been properly educated, before the plans are even set. That's not transparency. That's a rush job. They ended with a quick vote, not a formal roll call. No public explanation. Just a group yes or no. All in favor say yes. Yes. Opposed, same. Asterisk silence. Asterisk that was it. No breakdown of what exactly was being voted on. No details for the audience. Just vague support for something. Honestly, it was bizarre. It felt like a formality. Like they already knew how it was going to go. And this is how you know something big is brewing. You got developers in the room, pocket watchers, construction reps, everyone looking to get a piece. Because something happened. Something like the Pope's residence or a signal that Dalton might be on the upswing. And now they all want to be close. But they don't want to be in Dalton. They want to be next to Dalton. They want their little oasis walled off from the people who already live here. Their own rules, their own roads, their own pocket grocery store you can't shop unless you pass the gate code test. Y'all behave. Don't fall for the renderings. Don't fall for the talk. Ask for the numbers. Ask for the guarantees. Ask what you're getting out of this. Because if you don't ask, they won't offer. And before you know it, this community within a community will turn into a city inside your city, where you don't get to live, shop, or even walk your dog. You just get to look at it. And that's the scam mama loves you. Be smart out here. Peace.